Hello everyone, I am Dr. Krishna Chaitanya Information Technology. Today's topic is Introduction to Web Application from the course Web Systems Engineering. At the end of this topic, learners will be able to describe the concepts of World Wide Web and the requirements of effective web design. So, we'll dive into actual topic, that is web application. What is a web application? Web application is a software program that runs on a web server and accessed through a web browser over the internet or an intranet. Unlike traditional desktop applications, web applications do not require installation on individual devices and can be accessed from anywhere with an internet connection. So, a web application is a software program that runs on a web server and is accessed through a web browser over the internet or an internet. Unlike traditional desktop applications, web applications do not require installation on individual devices and can be accessed from anywhere with an internet connection. In the internet era, web applications have become indispensable for communication to customers, to popular your product, to purchase any items, or to reserve the seats or online banking. For everything we need web application. So nowadays everyone is using web applications. So we'll move to in detail in web application some of the components which are repeatedly will use. So first one is internet, intranet and World Wide Web. What is internet? The internet is a global network of interconnected computers that communicate using standardized protocols like Transmission Control Protocol or Internet Protocol. It allows users to access and share information worldwide. For example, browsing a website like Google or Amazon, or sending mails using Gmail, or doing transaction one account to another account through internet. What is intranet? An intranet is a private network used within an organization. It is similar to internet but restricted to employees or specific users, providing internal communication, collaboration tools and secure data sharing. So within the organization, if we want to share the files, we want to share the some content which is important or sensitive data, or a company internal HR protocol of for leave applications, the employees can apply leave. So that type of very sensitive information or within the organization, we want to share the information, then we have to use intranet. Next, very important is in web application, the component is World Wide Web. You can call it as a www or web. The World Wide Web is a collection of web pages and multimedia content that users can access via the internet. It uses HTTPS or HTTP protocol for communication and web browser for displaying content. So the multimedia can be text, image, audio, video, or any graphical content. It can be anything. So it is a combination of the text that we call as multimedia. So we want to exchange the data between the client and server. The client requests using the browser and it sends to the web server through the internet. So based on the client request or user request, it retrieves the data from the web server. Again, it sends the reply to the user browser to display our actual content. So that is doing in World Wide Web. So very important, if you want to know web application, what is a web page? What is a web page? It is a single document on the World Wide Web that can be accessed through a web browser using a unique URL. URL means Uniform Resource Locator. It has a, when you want to access any web application, it has unique ID, unique address. It will locate the resources on the web. It is written using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and may contain text, images, video, and interactive elements. Single document accessible through a URL. Uniform Resource Locator is a unique address used to locate resources on the web. It consists of a protocol, domain name, path, and optional parameters, helping users and browsers access online content efficiently. For example, we can take About Us page of Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. It looks like https colon for double forward slash IARE.ac.in slash forward slash question mark q is equal to pages slash about us. In this, HTTPS is a protocol. So by using this protocol, we are communicating to the web and we are accessing the data. So it can be HTTP, can be we can use otherwise HTTPS. HTTP means Hypertext Transfer Protocol. HTTPS means Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure Manner. So next we have there is a totally called as unique address. In that we have protocol. This one is a protocol HTTP or HTTPS. For HTTP, we'll use port number is 80 and HTTPS is 443. And for FTP, if you are transferring the text, then you have to use file transfer protocol. That port number is 21. And we have the domain name, that is www.iare.ac.in. And we have the path. So this is the entire thing is the path. And optional parameters. So this one is a query, and with query data. Along with that query, we are passing the parameters q is equal to pages. And with this one we call as web page. So what is the web page we are accessing? About us. Okay, so if you type in browser URL, it will open the, if we have internet and we have the right to access that pages, then it will display the about us page about Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Next, very important is website. What is a website? So website is a collection of interconnected web pages hosted on a web server and accessed through a web domain name. So for example, if you want to access website of Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, then you have to type https colon double forward slash, that is domain name is www.iare.ac.in. So here we have different parts are there. This for domain name. So that is a port protocol, and if it is right, we have to start with the World Wide Web, which you can access the data or resources from remote server. And this one is the domain name iare.ac.in. So IN is for in India, and this one is website name. Right. So based on institutions, you can use org organization. Otherwise, you can use AC. For commercial, you can use com. For education, we can use edu. So these are the TDs. We can use the extension, the domain name. So there are different websites are there, types of websites. One is static website, that is fixed content. For example, personal portfolio and company profile. So you cannot change the data. So whatever you stored in the web page, the same thing is displayed to all the users. When you open that same URL or domain name in browser, so the content will not change. So it is fixed. And dynamic website. What is a dynamic website? Changes based on user interaction. So we can interact with the web page. So we can give input, and based on the input, it will read to some data and display to the user in the browser. So we can do interactive. So we can reserve the seat in the railway reservation or bus reservation. We can reserve it, or we can purchase the products, or we can uh, in social media we can post the videos, or some text we can post it. So like that we can interact with the system, with the website that we call as dynamic websites. And we can also have different dynamic websites: e-commerce website, online stores, Amazon, eBay, social media website. We can interact with platforms like Facebook and Instagram, blogs, news website. So see here, every millisecond, lots of information is updating. Millions of records are uploading. So we have to display by we are displaying here using WordPress blogs or CNN. We are getting the news for every second. So that all we can display in our social media. All these are called as these websites. We call as dynamic websites. Yeah. The web application can be in two types. There can be static web pages or dynamic web pages. These are web pages we are developing using HTML language, that is hypertext markup language. So that is the HTML. So by using this markup language, we are designing the web pages, and that can be displayed in web page in web browser. Hypertext markup language. Markup language. So what is a static web page? Already we discussed. These web pages are fixed and do not change based on user interaction. So the content is whatever you given in web page is stored. The same thing is displayed in the browser. Any user if you use, the same content is displayed. So the content is fixed for all the users. They are created using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So by using front-end tools, we can design the web page by using the technologies HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Hypertext markup language, cascading style sheets and JavaScript. Sometimes we can also use JavaScript. Each page must be manually updated when changes are needed. So we want to change some text, we want to change the address, or we want to change the location. Again, we have to open the code, HTML code, and have to edit and have to save the file. So that is a static web page. Simple example is a company's contact page. Second type is dynamic web pages. Dynamic web pages, these pages generate content dynamically based on user interactions or database queries. For example, if you want to see the student credit register, so in the text box, just in text box, you have to enter the roll number. So here example roll number is 1234. Just we'll give the input and we can click on submit button. It displays the credit list of that student. Detailed information, SGPA, CGPA, subject list, everything is displayed. Again, if you change the student roll number, again click on submit. Again it displays if the student is existing, then it displays the details in the browser about the credit list of the student. So that is the dynamic web pages. The user server-side scripting and databases we have to use. Some of the server-side scripting languages are hypertext preprocessor, that is PHP, Python, Node.js. And we can also use databases backend for storing the information, MySQL, MongoDB. Some of the examples for dynamic web pages: social media feeds, e-commerce sites and search engines. So next we discuss topic all of us know, and every day we are using this one, web browser. So what is a web browser? A web browser is a software application for accessing information on the World Wide Web. When a user requests a web page from a particular website, the web browser retrieves the necessary content from a web server and display the page on the user device. Some of the examples of web browsers are Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Microsoft Edge, Safari, Internet Explorer, many of them. So if you want to retrieve some information from the web server, we have to use one of the application is that is web browser. So there is no other way to access the information from the server. You want to display anything, you have to use web browser only. Web browser. So simple words, a web browser is a software application. So for viewing the content or to store the passwords, history, or if you want to add some add-ons, you want to add the security in the browser. So we have to add some programs, right? So that is web browser. As well as if you want to communicate with the web server, we need the protocols. Some of the protocols are HTTP and HTTPS. So to communicate to the web server, you can use either HTTP or HTTPS. What is HTTP? Hypertext Transfer Protocol is a protocol used to transfer data over the web. It is a part of Internet Protocol suite and defines commands and services used for transferring web page data. HTTP uses a client server model. So simple example, if you want, right, if you open any web page, it starts with HTTP or HTTPS. Then you have to write the domain name and page name, subpage name, right, and we can pass the parameters. So HTTP. So by using this HTTP, we can transfer the data or we can receive the data. So using the protocol, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Any type of text, any type of media we can access. That is like text, audio, video, images, any type of data we can access. Or we can move from one page to another page also. Right. What is HTTPS? Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. It is a protocol where encrypted HTTP data is transferred over a secure connection. So HTTPS does encryption of data between a client and a server, which protects against eavesdropping, forging of information, and tampering of data. So if you want to have the sensitive information is there in your web page, you want to transfer data in secure manner. So then you have to use HTTPS. Maximum any online banking or when you are doing the online transactions or transferring the amount, then you have to use the web page as or website as HTTPS. So we can provide the security without hacking it or tampering of your data. So that purpose we can use the protocol for communication purposes HTTPS. Next we have to know what is a web client and web server. What is a web client? Who is a web client? Who are using that website or who are entering, who need some information, who require some data. So that the person we call as the user we call as web client. So web client is a software or device that accesses web applications. The most common web client is a web browser. So if you want that user want to access some data from the web server or some servers, then you have to use the application is web clients. So one of the web client is application is web browser, and that we have different web browsers we have. Based on the requirement, they can use Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Internet Explorer. Other examples include mobile apps and API clients. Types of web clients. There are web browsers, already we discussed, Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Safari, Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer. Mobile applications. Applications that fetch data from web servers. By using the applications also, in mobiles we can install the application and we can communicate whatever you need the information, we can do the transactions. Next, API clients. Tools like Postman that send requests to web servers. Next, web server. A web server is a system that stores, processes, and delivers web pages to clients. It handles HTTP requests and response. So, user sends the request by using HTTP that sends to the web server. It based on the user request, it processes the request with help of the server side technology, and it connects to the database, retrieves the information, and sends the response to the client through the internet to the web browser. Some of the popular web servers are Apache HTTP, server. So it is open source and widely used. Next we have Nginx, high performance used for load balancing. Next we have web server is Microsoft IAS, Windows based web server. And we have Lightspeed, efficient and secure alternative to Apache. So these are the web servers we have. Right. Coming to some functionalities of web server. So hosting websites and web applications. So one of the functionality of web server is we are hosting the websites and also web applications. And we can handle users requests and sending responses. So client will send the request using HTTP request, and server processes a request and sends the response to the user using HTTP response. And also the functionality of web server is managing security and authentication. So based on the user, you can provide the security. You are an authorized user, you can access the data. If you are an unauthorized user, it will disconnect or we cannot access any information. Simply it will show you are not authorized user. So like that you're providing the security. And storing and processing data dynamically. So based on the application, if it is a dynamic application, we can interact with the web pages or web application. We can store the data or we can view the data. So coming to the conclusion, web applications play a crucial role in modern computing, enabling global access to information and services. Understanding key components like the internet, World Wide Web, static and dynamic web pages, and web clients and web servers is essential for developing and managing web applications effectively. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.